So welcome to a 6th grade team. 6th grade teams are 2-person teams. This side would be humanities. That's ELA and history, taught in this space. Science and math, taught in this space over here. The math and science space is a little bit bigger because they have to be designed as laboratories. Notice that there is no wall because the wall is operable. 6th grade and this entire building is built around collaboration, creativity, and project-based learning. So yes, individual learning can go on with individual subjects, and when there's a project that's interdisciplinary, the walls open up, and students begin to interact with each other. Notice the differences between storage in a typical classroom and the storage that's in these classrooms, and the teaching walls, which isn't up yet. There will be a display in the center, interactive display, with whiteboards all around. And this entire wall, as you can see here, is whiteboard. So the space in what we are used to as traditional learning is now expanded. So you can teach at any point in the room. I'll let Sarah talk about the architectural features, but they're quite expansive as well.
So one of the challenges with opening up the room is that we lost a whole teaching wall. When we go over to the 7th and 8th grade wings, you'll see that they have a wall of marker boards. And so that's why we put marker board material on the operable partition, is so that they have that teaching wall available to them. Also within the science classrooms, in order to get a position for the teacher to have their exhibit table, there are cord reels so that they can plug in on either end of the room so that they have that flexibility. And what you'll also notice in the different wings of the building is there are different colors on the corridor walls, and that is to relate to their floor. So there's one floor that is blue, there's one floor that is purple, there's another floor that's red, one that's orange. It'll help with wayfinding for the students. So 6th graders will know that they either go to the blue wing or blue floor or the purple floor. And it's also related to the lab spaces that they're connected to off of the cafeteria, so they can think about the material and the color of their wing. It'll help with a big building.
Yep. Also, team pride. Middle school students, if you think about the age group, is 11 to 14 years old. They love their teams. They love their teachers. They love the students on the teams. The colors will be associated with their team and with their neighborhood. A neighborhood in 6th grade is 2 of these teams connected together. So students here will know students in the other team, and that whole area is called a neighborhood.
Great.
One other feature I have to mention, though, is there's no lights on right now in this room, and it's quite bright. So as you can see, the ceiling is also a little bit slanted. That's purposeful. That's so the light is actually reflected down at all times. The lighting here is also controlled by sensors. So as it gets brighter, these lights shut off. And the building's designed to be quite energy efficient with gigantic windows, but are also shaded so there's not too much sun coming into the space, creating glare on the walls, on people's desks, and everything else. So quite thoughtful design.
And if you think about the way the building is shaped, so we have 3 different wings going in 3 different orientations. And so if you notice as we go into different classrooms, the sunshades are all oriented differently because they're based off of the sun's orientation. So we're in a more southern facing, so we have more horizontal fins right now. There are other classrooms that have horizontal and vertical, and some that just have vertical. And then on the north side, we don't have any because it's just not necessary.
This is a typical classroom. So this is one of the 5 core subjects. The only classroom that's a little bit different is the science classroom. You'll see the difference. This one is actually slated to be world language. As you can see, it's extraordinarily bright, harvesting that sunlight coming in from inside. This is a typical setup for a teaching wall. Notice there's 2 of them in this classroom and a pinboard behind you over there. So teachers don't have to have a centralized place where they teach. It's very flexible. The furniture in the classroom's all collaborative. And there's high desks, low desks, wobbling stools, dynamic chairs, a wide variety of furniture that's going to be placed in the room. Unlike typical classrooms, there's ample storage. So behind you are cabinets for storing, and I'll let Sarah talk about the ventilation system, which is very comfortable. But a very different space for teaching, and it's designed around 21st century skills.
So against the wall with the casework storage, you'll see the silver metal panel. That is a displacement diffuser. So that is the service air for the space. So it comes out at a low velocity at not a very high temperature, not a very low temperature, very temperate. And what it's meant to do is it comes to the user. It's not cooling the air above you. It is getting directly to the person inhabiting the space. In the winter, these panels that are along the perimeter of the building are heating panels, and so that will provide the heat for the room, and it'll keep the air all circulating so everybody is very comfortable. It does take time to get used to, but it's also a very clean system, so you're not like putting out a lot of air with a lot of particulates or anything like that. But we will find that teachers come in and will say, oh, my room is too hot or too cold, but it's just they're not used to air not blowing at them at a high velocity because it's coming in very temperate. And right now the room seems very bright because the lighting controls are not quite set up. So in a typical scenario, like in the other room we saw, the lights were off and it felt pretty nice. Now in here, the lights are full on because this wing is being used actively. And so it seems a little bit bright, but there are room darkening shades that the teachers can modify, but then there's also a sensor in the ceiling that will tell the lights to dim a little bit. And then there will also be a 3-scene type switch on the wall so the teachers can actually dim or turn off their lights as necessary. So very flexible for their needs.
The one thing,
Windows open?
yes,
Yes.
you'll never have
2.
inoperable windows again.
Yeah.
The one thing that you really have to, that's really nice about this air system is that as this air flows and it hits individuals, it rises because of heat generated by an individual. It flows up, it hits the ceiling, and it gets sucked up. So unlike mixing air through a unit ventilator or a window unit that's blowing air into the room from outside, it's actually taking all the particulate and all the dust, dirt, germs, and sending it out.
Yep.
So all of the filters on the roof?
They're in the rooftop units, yeah.
So there are no more filters in the individual classrooms?
No. No, and they're each controlled by a variable valve in the ceiling. So that is what's controlling what's coming out of each displacement diffuser.
So we're going to walk down to the science classrooms now. These are dedicated science spaces. A little different than 6th grade where it was science and mathematics. Science classrooms, so this is where 7th and 8th grade science will occur. Classrooms are 1,100 square feet or 1,200 square feet?
Yes.
So similar teaching walls. Over here you have the sliding walls as well because they couldn't put them on both walls, so they put them on one side. If you noticed, the room is designed with a sink. As you can imagine, there's going to be a table, a standing table that comes out that are on wheels, so you can move your classroom around however you would like. As you can see, they're designed to have stations around the room that are around 6 stations of 4. So as you're doing a science experiment, the teacher has its own demonstration area, and there's ample storage for all the equipment that science teachers need in their classrooms.
Yep, so similar to the STEM classrooms of the 6th grade wing, each end has the cord reels. Because we don't have that upper partition anymore, we have the marker boards in the casework above the displacement diffuser. Just a lot of space for them to work and be very flexible. There's power in the face of the casework, so you can really plug in anywhere. Have something on the counter while also having it on the table.